All right, so here I'm going to cover the entire process, how my team has used email outreach as a method of bringing in new leads and new customers consistently, how we've sent millions of emails, how we structure our campaigns, how we handle the bookings, how we handle the objections. I'm going to run through everything start to finish to show you how you should be running your cold email outreach in 2024. So here is the overall idea. We're covering everything. And the reason I'm confident in this system is because it works. Okay, if you look at these numbers in the last 7 days alone, for this one account, we've sent 7,500 emails and we've generated 41 opportunities. All right, so we're going to start off here. If you're not familiar with the basic email outreach structure, it kind of goes like this. You want to have a sending domain, and for each domain you set up, you want to have 3 email accounts, and each email account can send 20 to 35 safe emails along with 15 to 30 outreach emails. So basically per domain, you can send about 150 emails a day, and 40 to 60% of those are actual outreach emails going to prospects on your list. Google and other email service providers do not want to be held liable for sending or receiving spam. And of course, most people don't want to receive spam. So you have to be very careful how you do this. You have to make sure that everything from your name to your messaging to what you're trying to offer, it all has to be relevant to the person you're sending it to. We don't want to blatantly just spam out in large quantities to a huge number of people. We want to be relevant, and we want to ensure that we're not ruining our domains in the process. Let's run through this example. If you wanted to send 1,500 emails per day, you're basically going to have to purchase and set up all of these domains and set up 3 accounts for each. And that process for about 6 months would run you about $3,300 just in infrastructure costs. We can see that we need 20 domains. We need 60 Google Workspace accounts per month. Email tools, there's different ones you can use. They all roughly cost around $100 a month. Getting an email outreach engine set up is not a simple task. You have to manage the configurations that go into ensuring your emails can even be delivered to your recipient. And then, of course, there's the process of setting up these emails. And when they do get disconnected or when they do need re-authenticated, you got to go through that process. It could possibly become a technical nightmare depending on how you have this set up. But once you have the basic infrastructure down, we can set up our email sending system or ESS. So this is your software. So whether you're using Smart Lead or Instant Lead or any of the number of tools that are out there that you can use for your ESS, you need to get all of those email accounts set up in there and start the warming process. Now, in the warming phase or in that warming process, the minimum you want to wait is 2 weeks, but the longer you can wait, the better. So I like to wait at least 3 weeks. And during that time, while those emails are warming up, we're working on these things. We're defining our ICP, we're sourcing a list, we're cleaning the list, and we're enriching. Whenever you go out to do cold email outreach, that you have a very clear offer with a clear benefit. Bonus points if you've done it already in the past and you have success stories that you can send also. But you also want to be very clear on who it's going to. So you want to have your ICP or your ideal customer profile. You want to have that dialed in, exactly who you're talking to, not just their industry, but their role. And you want to understand what they want and what they don't want, or what they have had bad experiences with in the past. You want to source your list. So there's various places you can get this: Apollo, Colalytics, ZoomInfo, Instantly, LinkedIn, Facebook, Clay. I mean, there's so many different places you can get a quality lead list from, but no matter where you get it from, you need to clean that list and verify it. And there's tools to do that as well. And then you enrich it. So I'm not going to go into detail with each of these today in this video. This video is more of an overview of how the entire process works. If you do want to get step-by-step instructions and dive into each of these things, then click the link in the description. I have training on all of this I can send you. Okay, from there, we want to move over to scripted. So we have time to do this. We know what we're going to offer them. We have our list. Now we need to start writing campaigns. And this is what will separate you from everyone else sending cold email. For each campaign, you need to have a list source and you need to have a direct and an indirect offer. A mistake most rookies will make is they will have one campaign sending out for everyone. That's a very fast way to get your emails blacklisted. If you can have 2 or more campaigns running at the same time, that just creates more variability in all of your email messages that are being sent out, and it lessens your chance of getting blacklisted. So I like to start a direct offer, 1 to 3 of those, and an indirect offer. Now, the difference between direct and indirect is a direct offer is going to be things like signing up for our service or opting into a demo call or intro call or anything like that. Opting into a webinar or training that's coming up. Could be a podcast invitation. Anything that doesn't directly point to a sale, but it can indirectly lead to a sale. You're going to get a much better response rate from indirect offers than direct offers. If you can do that, you can win. But you want to create a direct offer and an indirect offer, one of each at a minimum. You cannot come up with an indirect offer. If you don't have training or you don't have a podcast, you can go with a direct offer. However, I would recommend doing at least 3 really different intro emails with your direct offer in order to create variation between those initial emails. But also, you want to be able to take different angles from the same offer, because just like when you're running ads or anything else, it takes different angles to hit different people. So if you send angle 1 to a prospect and they don't say anything, but later you hit them with angle 2 or angle 3, it may resonate with them better and you may get them to show that they're interested. So 3 variations, 3 variations. Okay, so if you run email outreach for any amount of time, you will notice that the big majority of responses come from follow-ups. They do not come from the initial email. So you have to have an initial email and you have to have a good follow-up sequence. So how I like to structure my follow-up sequences are, the first follow-up comes 3 days later, and it's a case study. It's trust. It's saying like, hey, check out this video or check out what we did for so-and-so who runs a blank clinic, right? So maybe you can come in and say, hey, I was thinking of you. If this is an issue that you're facing, here's something that you can do to benefit. For example, if you're having a hard time getting MBA cases through the door, here's something that you can change right now to improve that. Right? You're not asking for anything really in this email. You're just following back up. They see the context of the previous emails. So next you're going to follow up, and this is a simple, hey, just wanted to bump this up. Okay, so you can do another follow-up or value add or case study to make 5 total emails. I haven't heard from you, so I have to assume that right now it's not a priority. That's perfectly fine. And then what that will do is it will either cause them to respond, say, no, actually, I've just been busy. Or if they don't respond, it's perfectly fine. But in that email, you want to say, I'll check back in a month or 2 and see how things are going. And that gives you the opportunity to reactivate this lead down the road. Okay, so now we're on to the portion where we're sending the emails. And we already talked about the different angles and variations that you'd want to do. We got the sequences running. Now we're just waiting on the responses. When the responses start coming in, there's really only 2 branches or 2 options that come off from here. It's either stop or unsubscribe. And in that case, you unsubscribe them, you block them, you move on. But if they're interested or they're not, you still want to handle it. So if someone says they're not interested, that is an opportunity to still handle the lead because you got a response. It's just like in any sell, if someone says they're not interested, it's only an objection. So what I like to do is, if they're not interested, to follow up and ask, or to clarify why they're not interested. For example, is it because they don't handle MBA cases, if they're a lawyer? Or is it because they don't want to grow? Or is it because they're shutting down? Like, try to get some context behind why they're not interested. And in doing so, you can convey additionally what your value add is, like why you're even emailing them. When they respond, it's going to give you some feedback, maybe to help you tweak your initial email or your follow-up sequences. In some cases, they're going to say, actually, you know what, let's get on a call. And in some cases, they'll say, no, not interested, or they won't respond, or whatever. However, if they are interested, we're going to go over to objection handling. So the 2 most common are pricing or how it works. Like, hey, how much does it cost? How does it work? So it's always around money or the system, money or the process. Being able to handle each of these objections is key, but you should just already have that pre-planned out. But the most common are around price. So go ahead and have those on the ready, put them into your ESS. So that way you can just reply with a template if you need to. But the goal here is to handle those objections strategically. Go ahead and pre-think how to handle it. From there, we'll get to booking in just a second, but right now we're going to look at the end of life. So when the campaign runs out, when the sequences are totally done, so you're going to pick the winners. You're going to see which variations did the best, see which had the better open rate, which had the better response rate. You're going to pick those winners and create a new campaign with new variations. You're going to take the winners and compare them with new test campaigns, and we're going to run those again. I typically like to wait at least 2 months between contacting the same person over again. So this means you're going to be able to start new campaigns per lead 4 to 6 times per year. I feel like that's plenty of time in between in order to give them a chance to kind of forget you, then remember you again. And something else that I want to touch on is out of office. So you'll get a lot of out of office or wrong person emails, and you need to take these, you need to put them in a list. And some email sending softwares will have subsequences where you can automatically pull these in and start the sequence over again. What I like to do is just collect those into a new leads list. So if I'm sending an email to someone and they say, hey, it's the wrong person, then I'm going to ask, who do I contact if they don't provide it already? But once I get that information, I'm going to put it into a list, and we're going to record who sent it to us. So if Kathy says, hey, you need to contact Tom, when we reach out to Tom, we're going to say, hey, Kathy wanted us to reach out. It's a really easy way to get in with Tom. And basically, I'm going to create a new leads list from that. and start them on the campaign from the start. Okay, so now we're moving on to, we have someone interested or they're not. Anyway, we got them to accept booking. So when you go through booking appointments, the first thing you need to do from there is qualify them. Like step one is to get people to say they're interested. Step two is you need to further qualify before you book. So if they say, yes, I'm interested, you're going to check out their website. You're going to see what services they offer, make sure it's a fit, just to make sure that we're on the same page. You do work with personal injury cases, correct? And you want to get them to say yes. If they say no, they're not qualified. There's no sense in even booking them in. So you want to qualify. You want to check their website or ask them if you need to. Then you want to suggest a time on the calendar. The sooner, the better. I suggest having as many open spots as possible. And some people want to book same day. So instead of having a 24-hour buffer, it's good to have maybe an 8-hour buffer on your calendar, 8 hours from now. Just book them in as soon as possible. Try not to let them book more than 3 days out. However, you do want to have availability. So what I prefer is I prefer to send them some close times. So if today is Wednesday, in the email, I'm not going to send them a calendar link. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to say, hey, how does tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. sound? And if they say, oh, that doesn't work, then you can suggest, okay, how about Friday at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.? If neither of those work, here's on the calendar. You can allow it to go out to maybe 5 days to give them flexibility, because some people just won't book because there's not a time available. So it's best to just kind of handle it in the email if possible. Okay, then once they're booked in, you want to initiate the show up process. So I have different training on show up process on how to actually get your leads and prospects to show up on the call. It's very, very important that you have a process in place, because if you do not, there's a high likelihood that they will not show. But we can touch on that in another video. But for now, we got them to book in. From here, you need to have a consistent routine every day, every week, every month. And when that happens, your volume goes down. You want to check the campaigns that are sending and that they are sending, because you do get to the end of your campaign's life and you have to start a new one. And if you only check that once a week, then that's an entire week of no volume. And then you want to report on the scorecard. So I'll have another training on how to build scorecards for roles and for systems. For email, you definitely want to look at things like your email to response, email to interest, or positive reply, and then your positive reply to booking, how many of those you've been able to book. Those are all key metrics that you need to track. So that way, when you're not getting the end result that you want, you can go back and look at those bottlenecks. Every week, you want to analyze the campaigns and optimize as necessary. And every 2 to 3 months, you want to launch new campaigns to non-respondents. So this is something we talked about earlier. Those people who did not reply, then we want to reach back out to them, just like we said we would in the final email of our signing off sequence. We want to let them know that we're going to reach back out, and then we do that. So this is the entire process. I would say 70% of this is pretty standard, but it's things like how you do the scripting, how you set up your campaigns, how you set up your sequences, and then really the booking process. So I think those 4 pieces are really what's going to help you stand out with your current strategy. Of course, we can dive into each of these phases, right? The infrastructure, the warming, the scripting, so the email structure, booking, in additional training. If you'd like to get those, just let me know. We can send you access to those things. But for now, I wanted to give you kind of the overview. Email is a very effective tool for getting in touch directly with decision makers. And if you follow the steps I've outlined here in this process, you're going to get an insane amount of leads coming in your door consistently. So if this was helpful, stay tuned, subscribe, get notified for the upcoming videos. I'm breaking down everything that I've used to build multiple agencies over 15 years and trying to cut out everything that's fluff to just give you the 80-20 of what actually works. Hey, so we put together an SOP covering this thing from top to bottom, as well as a slideshow of the entire diagram. So if you want to get access to that, just send me a DM with the word cold email SOP, and I'll send that right over to you.